Welcome to Live with Sean and Faith, where we are giving you
Welcome.
the most latest breaking election news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news, guys. Hey,
Coming
it
to
is
you
it's
from
hump day.
Avon, Ohio.
So, happy hump day.
Happy hump day.
You like our
You
introduction
made it
music?
this far.
You like that? You like that? Let's do it again. You give like an introspective look, like a anyway. So, oh, hey, there's my correspondent right there. Thank you. I've got some new news that just came in. You act like this is news to you too, isn't it?
No, it's no new news to me.
No news is good news unless it's Gary Gnu. You guys remember that from when you were kids? Maybe you're not. I just completely dated myself. You wouldn't know that unless you're like 45, 46. So this just this it's crazy to think about, and the results are completely 100% in, and God is still on the throne. Crazy to think about. I would have thought the election would have changed that, but it didn't.
It didn't change anything.
No, there's lots of
Not yet,
things that haven't
anyways.
changed at all. You know, the sun is still 93 million miles away from where I currently sit.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, it's a beautiful day here in Ohio. It's 70 degrees.
Yeah, it's still fall.
Do you know that the
Beautiful.
speed of light still travels at 186,000 miles per second? Yes, it does. Nothing changed. That's crazy news that we just got in. I didn't think that would ever happen. I thought all this would possibly change. We might all implode, even though the results are not in yet. Either way, and it looks like it's going to be a battle. I don't know about you guys. I've had this thing on
Battle
like
of
in
the
the
friends.
background. I pull up my phone every once in a while. I always remember as a kid, and even like in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
sat on the couch until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, waiting for the final results. Like, never gotten up the next morning and not known who was the president. I mean, there's always been, hanging chads and whatnot from Bush's election, a bunch of other stuff that is kind of out there that still needs to be kind of gone over, recounted, so on and so forth. That's always
Yeah.
been. There was a very contentious election back in the early 1800s with, I want to say Jefferson. I don't know. Look it up on Google. There was a tie, and the vice president tried to take position. Anyway, so another crazy thing that I found out. This book that sources are telling me this is called the Holy Bible. It's
Which hasn't changed.
still true. These pages in here, all of them
Yeah.
are still true. So that's crazy. I would have thought by this morning and everything that's going on that quite possibly the Bible will no longer be true as of today, but it still is.
Yeah.
And,
So aside, okay, so we're kind of just being, we're trying to lighten things up a little bit, because things can get kind of heavy during these times,
Yeah.
especially. I mean, it is a really big time.
It's a huge election.
We're in this huge election. There are a lot of people on both sides. We've seen a lot of I don't know, in all the years of elections, I've never seen so much divisiveness over the candidates. But ultimately, we want to point you back to the truth. We want to point you back to the Word of God, which is always life-giving. And we've been talking about putting our faith filter in front of our political filter. And also, that we can love people regardless of what they
Even if they
say,
don't love you.
or yeah, and even if they don't love you, or
Yeah.
maybe they don't like your candidate, maybe they're trashing him online. Have you seen that?
What I think sad too is like people that
Don't
are
do that. Don't trash people. That's not nice.
unfriending people on social media networks, or saying or not
Yeah.
returning phone calls or texts because
I don't be your friend
all
no
of a sudden I don't want to be your
more.
friend no more. Like
What?
there's been a couple of our kids that's actually happened to, and I'm like, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I told our children, just get off. A couple of our kids were just kind of getting like overwhelmed by all the negativity, and I said, just get off social media. Don't look at it. I personally don't read feeds. I like to give feeds, and I like to put stuff out there. But I ultimately think that if it's negative, don't read it. If it's negative, just, right? What do you think?
Yeah.
But I'm the same about
Well,
the news.
yeah,
I'm not watching the news either.
Yeah, I'm like one of those guys that I like happy movies, movies that end well. If I find out that the main character dies at the end, I don't watch it. Well, I just don't feel like there's enough crap that happens that. So same thing with like the feeds. If unless it's something that I can garner from, or something that I learn from, or something that makes me laugh or smile, or somebody that I care to hear their voice. The voices may not always be positive. But you know when it becomes divisive. You know when there are just spewings happening, and I don't care if that's for Trump against Trump, for Biden against Biden. I just don't really care for spewings of any kind.
Yeah.
And what we have to watch out is getting in our own little echo chamber where we only surround ourselves also with people that all think
the way we do
and think like us and talk like us, and so it is healthy to have other viewpoints coming in, because that's how we learn. We learn the things that we don't know by being around people that we don't understand how they think or believe that way. But you also know when things are completely divisive as well. Like you can tell, this is gross and I'm going to leave now. So you can kind of get some of that stuff too. So I'm in the same camp. I don't really spend a whole lot of time. I have a hard time with social media anyway. I try to be on because I know it's valuable. But at the same time, I have a hard time with it. Just as a person, I'm not the guy that's, if I scroll and like and love some stuff, it's because I'm saying, okay, I got to do this. It's really hard for me, honestly. It kind of drains me. Although I like the stuff that I see, and I like loving things that, especially people that I know and I care about and love, and I see, I enjoy that. But it's just hard for me to open it up.
Yeah, and honestly, Pastor Sean and I, we don't weigh on either side. We've always said we're independent. And our political view, honestly, does it super matter?
We do weigh.
Well, we do weigh, okay.
But we're independent publicly. Like I don't really care to, like even one of my daughters told her friend, they're asking like who you voting for, and she says, I don't feel like at this point, like I value our friendship way more than any political leaning. I'd rather just focus on our friendship.
Yeah.
The person got offended anyway. But there's that's the reason why, because there are people that I still want to be able to minister to. And I don't want stupid things getting in the way, although we do lean very hard to what we believe in and what we research.
Yeah.
So it's okay to believe in something, and obviously, like we've always said the whole time, like get out there and vote and get out there and research and care about the issues that concern our society. But I do not put them over my value for people.
Right.
If I think it might not let me minister Jesus to somebody, at that point, I don't really care about the issue.
Well, and that's what I was saying. That's why we weigh that. Like we do weigh strong on our values, but when it comes to political opinions and, and putting stuff on our personal page about who we're voting for or what we believe, it's always going to go back to our faith, and that's the foundation of everything. That I think that if you are a Jesus follower, you have to go back to the foundation of your faith and the values in the Word of God. And that's even gotten so muddied. I mean, so muddied. But it's really heartbreaking, if you're listening and you can't sit down with a friend and still love them because they vote differently than you, you need to check your heart, because there's a heart condition happening there. Yeah,
and it's not healthy for you.
It's not healthy for you.
That's the thing.
And it's not healthy for others. And it's not going to be good if you want to have a good witness, like we've been talking about, the world is going to know you by your love for one another. And I also think that, it's important for us to just keep Jesus first.
Yeah. And that's really the main point. We all have, according to this book, which was around way longer than America, way before there were any political parties in America, way before we knew that this land and country existed. Inside this book, there is a purpose that God gives us that applies to us and applied to our forefathers 100 years ago, will apply to my children's children when they grow up. And that purpose is, we are called what? We are all ministers of reconciliation.
good.
This is that's our purpose beyond anything else. And I mean, your purpose, you may have other purpose in your life. God may have had you start a company or a business. God have made you a giver. God may have had you start a ministry from scratch. God may have had you learn, love a particular sect of society. God may have called you to very specific purposes or countries or regions. But at the foundation, this purpose of being ministers of reconciliation, it's whether you are a pastor, an apostle, an evangelist, a volunteer, a Christian, but that's our purpose. We all have the same one, which is to reconcile people that are sinful, which is about, last time I counted, a little over 7 billion on the planet right now that are sinful.
Yeah,
and
so if you're listening,
reconcile
you're
them. Yeah, or you're seeing this, or even if you're not watching this, and you'll see this in 100 years. But to reconcile them to a God that is 100% holy and that loves you so much that he sent his son to die on the cross for your sins, that he wanted to spend eternity, and he gave us the free choice. I always said this: if I was in charge of a planet and I wanted to have people around me inside of my planet, that I would want everybody to love one another, right? And I would want everyone to be on the same page. I want them to love me without me having to force them as their leader, as the king of their planet. How would I do that if I were to be able to create a creation? Well, I'd have to be able to give them a free will and the ability to walk out their free will to either choose me or to not choose me. And that way I know it's completely 100% their decision, that I had nothing to do with it. I've offered them, hey, look, I want you to come and live with me for eternity. I want to take care of you. I want to be your father. I want you to be my children. I would have to give them free will and let them grow up and live their entire lives. And at the end of the day, I could weed it out and say, well, I'll take the people with me that want to be with me, and those who don't want to be with me, I'll send them somewhere where I am not. And that's the whole concept of heaven and hell.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what hell is. It's a place where God is not, and heaven is a place where God is all the time. He envelops everything. And our greatest experiences here on this planet are just a foretaste of what we experience there.
Yeah,
the greatest experiences in relationships, or in exhilaration, or happiness, or love, or peace, they're just a small little taste of what is to come. And so I guess the whole point is I want other people to experience that with me.
Yeah.
And so that's our purpose. And like I said, after the election, results are all tallied. This book is still going to be true.
Yeah.
That settles it.
Yep. So don't be moved by everything that is happening right now. Stay true to your beliefs, but also, honor those around you that don't believe the same way. And I think that's a big part of being a Christ follower. And like Pastor Sean said, God has given us free will, the power to choose, freedom, and we need to honor that with all that we do, and honor others and everyone that's not going to choose like you do. And if God can love every person, no matter what they choose, and gave his only son for everyone, then how can we not also, say we love God, say we follow him, how can we not love people? So that's what we're called to do, and we want to encourage you. And like we said, breaking news, Jesus is still on the throne.
Yes, he
is.
is.
And he is a God of peace. He is a God of love. And he is a God of breakthroughs. So no matter what happens around us, no matter what happens in our government, we can still have peace because of who we serve. And if you're watching, I hope that you've chosen to follow Jesus. I hope that you've chosen to make him the king of your heart, and to accept his forgiveness, to accept the gift of salvation, because there's nothing like it. So especially during times like this.
Yeah.
So.
And I would encourage you guys, if we all operated like that, in peace and in love, regardless of what others are doing to us or about us or in communities or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way we change things, is if we are Christ ones. Yeah. We're the ones that exemplify Christ and show others who Christ is. That's how we change the world. And yes, you can make a difference. You, just one person
Yeah.
with all the other one peoples around you, we can make a difference. And honestly, at the end of the day, and the early Christians prove this, it doesn't matter who's in leadership. It doesn't matter if they're even murdering us. Eventually, we will have victory. We can change the world because of who we serve.
Yeah.
And
And the hope that
we believe
have,
that. The
yeah.
hope that we have, yeah.
And those of you, I mean, honestly, as pastors, you know, we don't want to close the door to ministering to any person. So that is why it's not because we're afraid. It's because we just love people, and we don't want to, you know, we want to keep that bridge active and alive. So we don't share our political views on our personal pages, except for people that are really close to us, maybe here and there, where we feel like there might be an okay stance. But ultimately, we want to encourage you, you know, like if you have researched things or you do feel led to share with somebody in a loving manner, do it in a loving manner. People do need to be informed, but ultimately it all goes back to your faith filter going before your political filter. And if they disagree with you, just continue to love them. And I know we're kind of preaching to the choir because that's what y'all do. And I see people on here like Sheila and Faith and Julie and Jamie and others. You know, we know that you're doing that, and we just want to cheer you on. Keep loving, keep living out your faith.
Yeah, and also remember,
Don't be
Vineyard Church
discouraged.
is in person
This Sunday.
This Sunday, and the Sunday after that, and the Sunday after that,
Yes.
and not the Sunday after that because it's December 7th, so we won't be having.
Well, no, we are in person, but we're not at the Emerald Event
Right,
Center.
won't be at the
yet.
interval at the Sunday. But every
We'll announce that
week
location.
except for that, you can go to whereisvineyardchurch.com, and that'll cue you in as to where we're at. We are at the event center this week. We'd love to see you guys. And again, breaking news, but it's not so breaking. God is still on the throne. The Bible is still God's authoritative
Yes.
word, and our purpose hasn't changed. We are to reach people for Jesus. There you have it, folks. We love
Yes,
you.
we love you.